I'm Emily Lunt, and I believe with my whole heart and soul that our homes are places where we can seek and love the truth, celebrate beauty, and learn good things every single day. That's why I'm educating my kids at home, and I know you can do it too. Welcome to Heart and Soul Homeschool.
Welcome back to Heart and Soul Homeschool, and welcome back, Christina Carpenter. Thanks for sticking around because we have so much more to talk about. I just told you I feel like we could talk all day. So we're going to talk today about your conference that you've started, which is called Bloom and Blossom.
Yes.
Which I just love. I love that name. It happens in February, right?
Yes.
Which is right when we need to be thinking about blooming
Burnout.
and blossoming.
Yes.
That's a tough time in the homeschool world. How did you come up with that name?
Okay, so I'm partial to flowers. Actually, both of my daughters' names are flowers. I have a lily and a violet.
Oh, I love that.
Thanks. And I just love flowers, but I also really love that the term bloom and blossom, it's just like symbolic for growth.
Yeah.
And I think it really it's like a representation of what we see in the natural cycles of just this, during seasons and the blooming and blossoming that goes on, in the natural cycles. And so it was personal and symbolic to me.
Yeah, it's perfect. And it also makes for a really beautiful logo,
Yes.
really great decorating
Yes.
opportunities. I've seen pictures. It's absolutely a gorgeous event.
Thank you.
So what inspired, you're a homeschool mom, you have a business, and you thought I should start a conference, right? Because you weren't busy enough? Or?
Right. Yes. So it's actually the opposite of what happened. I didn't have the business first.
Okay.
So what happened is it was February 2019, and I was actually at a different conference, and I was sitting there, and I was just taking in the conference and just kind of waiting. My friends were grabbing some coffee, as home educating moms do.
Yes, that's what we run on, right?
Yes, coffee and Jesus. And I just felt this impressed upon me that I was going to do a conference and that I was going to write a book. And so I was really I'm an extrovert and I'm pretty assertive and bold. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. But then fear struck me. And so I actually did not even whisper those words aloud for 9 months, and ironic 9 months, right?
Yes.
And so it was actually in November of that month. The timeline matters. So November 2019.
Yes.
I know. I whispered to my husband, not whisper, I told him, I was like, so I think that I'm supposed to do a conference and write a book. And he was so supportive. And then after that, it was January 2020, and our church was having a fast. I was like, I'm just going to fast and pray on it and just ask for clarity and direction. And so I felt good. I was like, all right, let's go. So it's March 2020.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a venue. And I go to this church. And unfortunately, that church didn't work out for the venue. They were having some reconstruction. But I was like, it's okay. I'll just try a new one. And then a week later, the entire world shut down.
Yes. Isn't that wild to think about? So that was almost 5 years ago now. And sometimes when my husband and I are friends and we're talking about things that happened around that time, it's bizarre.
It is bizarre.
Isn't it? Just how that's such a marker. So March 2020,
yes,
finding a venue.
Exactly. And then even though the world was shutting down and there was so much unknown, people were like, I don't know what to do. I just felt more and more confident that that was what I was supposed to do. And so I just kept making plans and walking forward. And so I remember that summer, talking to a few of my friends and being like, you know what, I would actually really love to be a home education coach and this just be my thing. And a few of them, they were well intentioned. They kind of chuckled okay, that's not a thing, And then a few months later, as I was still planning and preparing for this conference, I'm talking to God, and this is just me talking to God, in the shower, God, listen, I'm trying to be obedient here, but I'm going to need some income and some resources to put this on because putting on an event takes money.
It's really expensive.
It's really expensive. And so I'm not even joking you when people started messaging me being like, will you help me home educate? Will you help me lay out a plan? Will you help me do this? And they were like, we will pay you. And so,
which is so interesting because I'm thinking about everything that was happening. So, schools were shutting down.
Right.
Kids were being, forced to mask up all the time. There were so many things, and people were really evaluating education as a whole.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing to hear stories of how God was working behind the scenes, to help people, because we needed that assurance. We needed someone who would kind of walk down that path because it's such a radical lifestyle change.
Yeah. So even before I started having like actual clients, I ended up hosting like an online Zoom type of workshop just to try to help people, because I have a lot of social media presence with my home education journey. And so people knew that I did that, and they also were like, hey, I want to do it like you too. And so I had a Zoom workshop. It actually, like, I even had somebody in Canada watch it. It was really cool. It was really fun.
Neat. Yeah.
And so that was just such a blessing. And then, like I said, it just ended up falling into my lap, and just people just kept coming to me. And like, there are times over the last 4 or 5 years when I've been coaching where I am like so busy. Like, I'm having several sessions in a week, and like on top of all the other stuff, like that's a lot. Sometimes I have to be like, okay, during this season, I'm only going to, have 8 sessions this month, or I'm only going to have 4 sessions this month, just because just trying to balance that margin, because the conference also does take up a lot of time.
Yeah. Well, and you're actually still home educating kids at home. I mean, you still have 4 kids that you're teaching. I want to go back a little bit, because you said this, just the coaching aspect of your work just fell into your lap. But it didn't really, I don't want to challenge you on that, but like really God put you in a place to do that. And so I think homeschool moms love to give advice, don't they?
Yes.
They love it. And so I'm just thinking about the difference between you and me. Like, you're obviously called to coach and help people. That's not my calling.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. But I think that's an important distinction, as we live in a time where there's just so much information flying at us, and there are so many people, there aren't any gatekeepers on information right now, right? And so, there's a lot of advice, I guess, and sometimes that can be really stressful. And so I think it's really cool that, God has placed you, and there are a few other women that I can think of, this coaching thing that I've just recently learned about, who are just kind of uniquely positioned with your life experience and your calling to really come alongside women and help them through this time. I think it's really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
So, and we'll put in the show notes again, just in case anybody missed last week. They should go back and listen.
Yeah.
But just in case, we'll put how they could get in touch with you. So let's talk about Bloom and Blossom, because I'm excited about this. This is not, I wrote in a note to you, that this does not seem like your mama's homeschool conference.
No.
So, which I love about it, because I think everything has its purpose, right? There are times, I think seasons, I've been at this for a little over 4 years now, and I'm already seeing the seasons of it, right? Like, there's a time when you need, like, mechanical, I like to call it, information. There's a time when you really need to work on your heart as a mom. There are just so many seasons, and this one really focuses on that motherhood.
It really does.
And, embracing motherhood alongside home education. So what sets this apart from other conferences people might be aware of?
Okay, so like you kind of talked about, that there are different types of conferences. There are ones that are super conservative, and there are ones that are really large. There are ones that are family oriented, and like you said, all of those are great, and they all have their place. What I felt that the Lord was calling me to do was a conference specifically for women. And so I actually originally called it the Bloom and Blossom Home Education Conference, and within the last few years I've changed it to just be the Bloom and Blossom Conference, because I really want to pull in mothers that are doing, really honestly, any type of alternative education. And honestly, if somebody who has their kids in public school and they're like, hey, I just kind of want to come check this out, like, I promise you will leave encouraged, because that is our mission.
Yeah, because we're all called to be mom. Like, if we have kids, we're all called to mother them.
Exactly.
And so it's a great unifying thing, when I think we can come together as women, and especially women who love the Lord and are trying to walk, according to the scriptures, and to raise our kids to love him and serve him with our lives. Like, there's such a unifying, which is so beautiful in this time when I feel like there's so much, not unified, even in our churches and stuff. I think that's a really beautiful opportunity that you're giving women. Thanks. And I actually, like we just said, I love that it's in February, because that is just a time when you just need a little boost, right? Yeah, that's so neat. So I'm going to read this, because your mission statement that you have on your website, it's an event that aspires to encourage, empower, equip mothers on both their motherhood and home education journey. How did you come up with that mission?
Oh, you know what? I actually can't remember how I'm trying to think. That one caught me on the spot.
Well, it's a really good one.
Yeah.
Because, we all need that, right? We all need to be encouraged. We all need to feel empowered. I think my husband and I were just talking about this. I think this is something that women really struggle with, that we get so paralyzed in our decisions, and we doubt ourselves so much. And that empowerment, not in like a feminist, like, hear me roar, but just no, God has put these kids in my life. We're here at this point in history. This is what he's called our family to do. And so I'm equipped and empowered to make those decisions and make them well.
Right. So when I break down those words, the equipping, like I just was wanting people to leave with some type of information.
And like I'm sure actionable information.
Yes. So I'm really careful to balance the conference to be both mindset and process oriented, just like I do in my coaching. So I have some speakers that come in that are more on that encouragement level. And then I have some speakers that are hitting that process a little bit harder. I really try to see, okay, where does the speaker, where can they speak to people the most? Like, what is their talent and gift? So like Rachel Ellsbury, like we talked about last time, she is incredible when it comes to processes. So when she was a speaker last year, she talked on processes and people loved that. She is so good at that. But some people, they have more of a gift of encouragement. And so like I said, I just really try to have a balance between the two of those. So with the equipping, that's that action, that call to action. The empowering, I want people, that's what that encouragement, but I want them to feel like you said, like, I can do this. Like, I can do this. And so, and then obviously encouraged, you know, it's just when you put all of them together, I just feel like that is like the perfect, I want my people to walk away feeling all of those things.
Yeah. Well, and I was just thinking as you were talking, like when we're feeling encouraged, when we've also been given tools and equipped, like then we just naturally feel more empowered to walk out and do the thing. Right. And I think that's just such, like we were talking earlier about just all the information that's constantly coming in. It's nice to have a place just to kind of set it all aside and go in and have a focused time. I think we don't do that enough as moms. I know sometimes I struggle with that because I think our culture is so focused on like me time and you deserve this, like you deserve that massage or that pedicure, you deserve, you know, and I'm like, oh, like, but I love being a mom and I don't want my kids to think, you know what I mean? Like, I think that pendulum can swing and sometimes we don't. Like self-care kind of gets a bad rap sometimes because it's used in our culture as like almost an entitlement. Well, I don't know. I'm not explaining it very well, but
I know what you're saying. It's almost an either or. Like I deserve this because of this, but they can both exist. Like I actually really enjoy massages and facials and pedicures. I'm
not saying I don't.
Right. But I also really enjoy being a mom, and I'm not going to those things because I'm having a hard time being a mom.
Exactly. Yes. Like I don't ever want my kids to be like, oh, I need this because you've worn me out or whatever, you know? And so I love that there are places like your conference where that all happens. And I think it's really healthy and really good to set aside time to go with our girlfriends to be refreshed.
Yeah.
And that's just such a wonderful thing that you're offering. So this is an event for women. I think it's interesting. You let husbands come on Friday night.
Only on, so that's newer. Yeah. So when I first started having the conference, it was a 1-day conference and like there were no men allowed. The only guy allowed was our sound guy, and he's still allowed because we need him.
You have to have the sound guy.
He's fantastic and he's the only guy allowed. But moving forward, just by kind of like seeing what the needs were in the community, I added another day to the conference that was more workshop based. And so I really, because the heart behind Bloom and Blossom is that encouraging and the equipping and the empowering, I'm like, okay, we need our significant others and our husbands alongside of us to hear some of these things too.
Yes.
And so Friday night is focused on workshops, and actually husbands, significant others, they are free to come with their wife's paid admission.
I think that's great because sometimes this homeschool journey, if you will, I feel like that word kind of gets overdone, like we're on a journey, but it is really, I mean, that truly is what it is. And I think a lot of that sometimes just naturally falls on us as women to make the decisions, to do the research, to kind of bear that out. But it's really good, and it's been really, really helpful at those times when, and we've been intentional about this, like for me to bring my husband in and say, this is what I'm choosing because this and this, or I read this today and it meant a lot to me because I was feeling this way, but this helped me see this as a different path forward.
Right.
And that's so healthy, like for our marriages and really for our kids to see that like this isn't just what mom does. Like
it's a partnership.
We're in this together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, to that, like I am mainly doing all of the things as which with most women or most home educating families, that is usually the case. But again, like this is family culture that we're creating.
Exactly.
And so I wanted to bring the husbands along on that journey, if you will. And so this year I actually have 2 male speakers. My husband's speaking again. Last year he spoke on a workshop called Wife Support, which he thought was so clever.
That's very clever.
I know. Yeah. And he had a lot of people really like his, and so I was like, fine, I'll let you come back again. So he's coming back again. It's going to be similar but not the same.
Yeah.
Just kind of a little bit more on that family culture.
But again, something that we probably just need boosted on, just refreshed. Like even if we know it, sometimes you just need to hear someone say it again,
right,
to go to go do it for another year, right?
Yes, exactly. I actually had so many people reach out to me. The wives were like, my husband took this away from this, and I got new bookshelves. And like,
that's great. We can always use more bookshelves in our homes.
Funny. Right? I was like, what did you say? Because I didn't happen to be over there during that time. And then we have another man speaking on Socratic discussion in the home and what that looks like. And not these workshops are not specifically for men. I'm just saying
but they're good ones where our husbands can come alongside, at the dinner table, or that Socratic discussion.
Right.
Like, we can have this vision, of what we want our family time to look like. And I think, you love Sally Clarkson. Just
I love her.
I love Sally Clarkson. But she's a person who really has inspired me to like elevate the conversations in our home. And that's kind of, my husband doesn't have time to read a Sally Clarkson book, but I love, like, that's just a good example of a workshop that would be really helpful to like help him catch the vision that I'm after, like that ideal that I'm trying to work in. So that's a great example.
Yeah. So another reason too that I had the men is like last year I had 3 workshops. No, how many did I have? I think I had six or 7 workshops with women leading, and then my husband was the only man. And so I was wanting to create this year we're going down to 4 workshops, and this time everybody is going to be in the workshop versus having to choose. We're just going to be in the main area.
Because sometimes it's so hard to choose, right?
I know. So we're just doing 4, and they're all really, really good. Stay tuned for more information on those. But I wanted to bring 2 men this time, so I have 2 female speakers and 2 men speakers, because I really wanted to kind of create like that balance of like, this is a women's conference, yes, but we need you, and we are wanting you to walk alongside of us. And so I was just trying to create a little bit more balance in our workshops this year.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too hung up on it, but this is something that's different. And I think sometimes they wonder, like, where do I fit in? So anytime that we can kind of bring them in and let them see, like, specifically, I think that's just like a relationship thing. Like, don't make them guess. Like, these are specific ways. I love that. So everything about Bloom and Blossom seems really curated to me in a good way. Yeah. Like, in a beautiful, it flows. And so how do you come up with a theme with your speakers, even the vendors, all kind of fit in together, right?
Yeah. So each year has a theme, and this year the theme is perspective. And I just kind of spend some time like praying and just like what is on my heart? What do I feel like, the community needs right now? And so, like I said, this year's perspective, last year was unconventional. And we also have like shirts that go along with them each year. And so if you check out the Instagram, you'll be able to see the different shirts throughout the year. So,
and we'll be sure to link back to all of that. So people can find it easily.
And so it's just really fun. But each year I just kind of think once I have the theme, it's like, okay, who do I know that will just, speak to this? And so that's really just kind of what I do. I start with the theme first and then just kind of go down the line. And then the vendors, it's really important to me to try to pour back into the home education community. So most of the vendors are home educators, most of them, not all of them, but I try very hard to just pour financially back into the home education community.
Which is really neat, because I think a lot of times, when we home educate our kids, we are giving up a second income, and things can be kind of tight. And so I think it's really fun for us to support each other in that way, and it's extra meaningful. And then it also is a great, if you buy a little gift or something, it's a great conversation starter. A homeschool mom runs this little business, and it's just a really neat way to just boost the community at large.
Yeah, it's really fun to see people, like, if you see them out and they're wearing like earrings from one of our vendors, or a shirt from another one,
like a little secret bat.
It's really fun. It's fun.
Yeah, that is fun. So when women arrive, what can they expect from the time they get there to what's kind of the flow of the weekend?
That's a good question. So the first night is a little bit more structured. So like, because we have those workshops going on, but you get to go in. We're going to have like snacks for
the snacks
purchase.
Are so important.
I know.
Yeah, we have a mutual friend in Natalie Haber who runs the Flourish KC Ministries. I love her too. And we bonded over our love for snacks at events.
Yes. Actually, the first time I met her, she brought me to, is it called KC Housewife or Housewife KC?
Oh, I don't know.
They have great food, great coffee. And I was like, I knew I knew I loved this girl.
Yes.
You know.
That's funny.
So yeah, we'll have like snacks for purchase, and then the vendors will be open for shopping, and then we will have the workshops. We'll have a little bit of break between, but then it's just mainly like conversation, workshop, shopping, and then the next day, no men allowed.
Yeah, the no boys allowed sign goes up. Yeah.
And the women come in. Again, there's going to be more snacks and coffee and stuff for purchase. The vendors will be there and available. And there is a schedule. I have not put that schedule out yet. I put it out closer to, but there is a schedule throughout the day. But it is one of those things where, like, if you're not able to stay the whole day, like, that's okay. You know?
You would still get benefit, even if you could only come for the morning or only come for the afternoon.
Absolutely.
And this, I guess we should say, this is located in Springfield, Missouri. And so I realize that's not accessible for all of our listeners, but also I'm seeing more and more sort of non-traditional homeschool encouragement events popping up, which I think is wonderful. And so I don't want to speak for you, but if someone's hearing this and they live, you know, maybe where you're from in Washington, and they think, oh, there's nothing like this for me, like this would be a great thing for them to come check out, just to see what other people are doing. I always think it's fun to see what's happening all over the country. So hopefully this is encouraging just for you, if you're not local here, that you could know this is happening and that women are being encouraging. Maybe you could take something away from it for your own homeschool group or something like that.
And also if you do come, whether it's, you know, you come and you live in Springfield or you live in Kansas or Washington or Maine, please come up to me and introduce yourself. Like, I love connecting with people from all over the country. So please make sure you do that if you end up coming.
Yeah, and it's so fun to have a sisterhood just all over. I mean, I think that's part of what's so neat about homeschooling is no matter, I had a family from Canada to contact me last week, and it's just like, wow, you know, we are not all in the same place, but we are all in a way in the same place and just walking out this life together in a really, we hope, beautiful way. We're trying to make it beautiful. So I'm so excited. I'm hoping I can make it. If people want to find the conference, your website, ChristinaCarpenter.org is the best place to find it. And I will put that in the show notes. But it's coming up in February. And we're excited to maybe hear how it goes this year and look at the beautiful pictures and all the exciting updates as they come out. Do you want to plug any of your speakers that you've been out so far?
So this is our 5th year. And so I'm super excited. And so we have Erin Lochner. She is coming to speak, and she is the author of Chasing Slow and The Opt-Out Family.
I'm excited about this one. The Opt-Out Family is really kind of rocking everyone's world right now, isn't it?
Yeah. So I happened to meet Erin. I've seen her at a few other conferences. And back in April, we were at, I went to a conference that she was at, and we happened to be at the airport at the same time. And we ended up just having like a conversation, just the two of us, for about an hour. And like, her heart is so beautiful, like so beautiful. I cannot emphasize that enough. And so I am so excited.
Which makes you feel great about presenting her, you know, to your guests.
I know. I'm so excited for that. And like, not only is she a gifted communicator just orally, but like in general, like her written word is so beautiful too. She has such a powerful way of communicating, and it's this gentle and not shaming approach.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Yeah. I'm very excited for that. And then Carrie DeFrancisco, she's coming from California, and she is wonderful. She also has a podcast, Coffee with Carrie, and her voice is so soothing, and she is just full of so much wisdom, and she's so articulate. And then I haven't announced one more speaker, so I'm going to wait on that one just because I haven't announced.
We won't do any
yet.
breaking news right now, but be checking on the Instagram account for all the updates.
Absolutely.
Well, Christine, thank you so much for being here, and this has been such a fun chat. I'm so encouraged and excited about all that you've got going on. Again, if you want to contact Christina about coaching or learn more about the conference, ChristinaCarpenter.org is a great place to go. And I hope that you'll join me next week for the next episode of Heart and Soul Homeschool.
Heart and Soul Homeschool is a podcast presentation of the Herzog Foundation. The views and opinions expressed on the show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the views of the Herzog Foundation. Be sure to like and subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode of Heart and Soul Homeschool.